Next chapter, rewriting your narrative. So this is quite an extensive chapter. It consists of 10 steps. So first of all, self-reflection. So identify the current narratives you're telling yourself. So what's the story that you believe, that you tell yourself, and that you envision in all your actions, habits, sort of the you that you tell internal as well as external. It's basically one of the foundations of the self. Then examine your surrounding influences. Number 3, tips to help you identify your beliefs. So what are the core beliefs that are the foundational supports of your storyline? 4, models and frameworks that can help you identify and understand these beliefs. So what does the theory says and how can you counteract some negative beliefs as well? Then zoom in on your subconscious. Then zoom in on your negative beliefs and low esteem. So a bit of an extensive version of the fourth one. Then improving your self-esteem. Exercises that might help, sort of an overview. And then eventually crafting a new narrative and putting it all together. Yeah, so this might be a bit lengthy, but it's worth it. It's about the story that you tell yourself and how to reframe that story, reshape the story, reshape your life. So let's go. Okay, the introduction to reshaping your narrative is that you are the storyteller of your own life and you can create your own legend or not. So you're not defined by your past, you are prepared by your past. It's never too late, so to say, to become who you truly are. And I honestly mean that. It's like the past is the past. You can't alter the past. You can learn from the past. But you only have now if you start acting or start changing your story and now you change your past and you grow towards the version that you want to become. Or you can actually become the version that you are today, so to say. Or you can become that version today already. So you have to rise. You have the courage and the power to rise above that, so to say. That's a personal narrative. And there are many different narratives out there. But remember, it's all about the self. It's all about the you. It's all a mental construct. So once more, this is a social, biological construct. This is not the spiritual energy realm that we are in. Okay? So how to identify your current narrative? First of all, of course, self-reflection. So start writing down things that you like, that you dislike, and especially record your self-talk. On average, you have, well, it's debated, but 30 to 60,000 thoughts per day. So you're entirely dominated by thoughts. If you won't break that loop, they are pretty much the same every day in and day out. If you want to grow, break the loop. How do you break the loop? Write down your thoughts. So counter them. Like, okay, when they approach again, like, no, we've discussed this already. New thoughts. Also, exercises like awareness, mindfulness exercises. And in short, we've discussed this already, becoming more aware, so to say. So by recording down these internal beliefs, the positives and the negatives, writing down your thoughts, you gain insights in this narrative. Also, discuss this with other people. So what do you think that my narrative is? What do you think that, ask the people around you. Look at what gives you energy. Look at your core values. Look at your strengths. Look at all the things that we already did. They all form your storyline, so to say. And the storyline is key. It is the foundation of the concept of yourself. It is often dormant in the subconscious, but park that for a second. We will get there sooner. So within a few minutes. So step 2, examine the influences around you. So take a closer look to your family and friends. Take a closer look to the activities that you do, to your physical environment. How do you live? How's your environment? Is it clean? Is it tidy? Or is it a mess? What's your behavior? How's your body? Do you feel it with, I don't know, vegetables? Or do you throw in other things? You become what you eat. You are what you eat, and you become what you read. So, some tips to help you identify these beliefs. Step number 3, reflect on your values, examine your thoughts, consider your experiences. That's a new one. So what experience have shaped your beliefs? If I tell you, dig into the experience of the past, you often dig into the experience that are best tied to your emotions. The more emotions are involved, the better you remember experiences, discussed in previous video. So what makes your emotions go higher? Also, when you do these awareness exercises, these thought monitoring, there will be thoughts that grab you by the guts, so to say, that every time if a particular thought pops by, that's the one that you follow. So you can ignore the first one, the second one, the third one, and then the fourth one, whoop, grabs you. Why does that one grab you? Why is it important to you? Is it a deadline? Is it a person? Is it whatever? So read, learn, and challenge yourself, so to say. Also, what helped me a lot is, how would my story have been if I would have been born in another time, or in another culture, or in another family, or without arms, or without legs, or whatever, without eyesight? The things that would remain the same would be pretty much your core, so to say, and the rest is all narrative. So I'm a dad, I'm an auditor, I'm a teacher. Those are all nouns, nouns pretty much, and that summarize a mental concept. So start looking for nouns, okay? So house, car, job titles, friendly, not friend, and then in a more evolved state, as discussed, you will change them into verbs, but that's for later. So step 4, there are multiple models and frameworks that can help you and identify these beliefs. I named 5. So a cognitive behavioral therapy, a rational emotional behavioral therapy, mindfulness, as I'm a big fan, you might have noticed, the belief ladder and the Johari window. So let me briefly describe them. The cognitive behavioral therapy, often done by a therapeutic as well, so people get support with this, is focus on identifying the negative thoughts, so the automated negative thoughts, ends. And these are negative patterns, so things you tell yourself like, I can't do this, I will never do that, or I'm not good enough for, or that's not me, or all those things, but that you do see in other people, so to say. So others can do that. So why do you believe that you can't, so to say? Remember, if people win gold medals with swimming while they are blind, perhaps you can also do more than you actually think you can. So that's CBT. Then we've got ERBT, irrational emotional behavior, and that's focusing on the irrational beliefs like fears, or I just spoke with my neighbor before sitting down, and she told me that that when she was young, she lived next to a river, and her mother was always very scared for her to drop into the river, which is a logical response from a mother, of course. So no blame or whatever, but that left her with a particular disliking of water, which still resides to nowadays. And I think she's heading towards the 60s, so to say. But then she also like she accepted it, like, okay, I don't care about it anyway. But at least she was aware of it, so to say. So you are aware of all these irrational beliefs. For example, her belief was, she made this story up, that there were large crocodiles in the water. That's how she translated that fear, and that kept her out of the water for quite some time, and still resides to this day. So you have irrational beliefs as well, as we all have, and that therapy is about diving in. Well, 3, I don't want to digest 3 anymore. Mindfulness-based approaches, in my opinion, for me, this personally works very well. It's about awareness, thought recording, breathing exercises, and focusing to other areas than your mind. Try to do it even for 5 seconds, and you will see how hard it is. But what difference it will make within 5 seconds or so. Then we've got the belief ladder and the Johari window. The belief ladder is, well, never mind. I'm going to drop several YouTube links here because otherwise it might become a too lengthy video. So where the original founder explains their concept. Yeah. So that was step 4, the different frameworks you can use to identify your beliefs and may they be rational or irrational. That form the foundation of your storyline. Okay, then we've ignored an important part, which I'm shortly noted before, which is the subconscious. So the subconscious determines a large part of the story that we tell. And so how do you tap into the subconscious? Of course, you've got the awareness exercises and the journaling and all those things that bring you out of your mind into the deeper layer, the deconstruction, but also think about dream recording, where you record your dreams. Or like a 5-minute exercise in the morning where you do visualizations, for example, that you contact your subconscious, so to say. I will show you several links. No, never mind. For now, just stick with the dream recording and the mindfulness, and you will get a long way regarding your subconscious. In a later phase, I will teach you more, but that's like, okay, read the Harry Potter sequence while we are still learning or teaching you how to read. Okay, so one step at a time. Be patient. Yeah. So when you found your beliefs with all these previous described techniques, zoom in on the negative beliefs and take a closer look on why, why does this create my low self-esteem, so to say. Once more, vital remark, as I shown in the previous drawing, negative isn't necessarily something that you should eradicate altogether. In my opinion, once again, the blackness in this drawing makes the drawing beautiful. So not only is it perhaps a bit optimistic to find and eradicate all your negative beliefs, but perhaps it's not even wise because you might draw a picture that that's not aligning your authentic core. However, if it limits you in your life, then definitely perhaps use a little bit black and try a different color. Okay? So signs of low self-esteem is that you experience a sense of self-doubt or you be overly apologetic. I tend to do that when I, for example, playing tennis or whatsoever, like, oh shit, what am I doing? I have no idea what the protocol is. Often blaming somebody else, like, hey, that's not my fault. Posture, of course, so your posture is a bit slacking. And often you tend to do negative habits, so downplay your accomplishments and all those things. Also, you strive for perfectionism, by the way. Perfectionism is also a sign of low self-esteem because you're not trusting yourself enough to let go, so to say. The expert would let go. And of course, once again, differs per situation, differs per person, all personal balance. Improving self-esteem, we can do an entire 4-year program about this. It starts with recording the negative thoughts, of course, and all the steps that we've done before. But secondly, I would say change the color for the blacker colors for the more positive colors. So reframe your story and visualize repetition, so to say. And what do you repeat? Well, let me zoom in for a sec. I don't know this by heart. So first of all, count yourself in. So if you have troubles doing difficult things, count down. I did it when I used to jump from bridges and buildings into the water, big cranes that were like sometimes it got scared the shit out of me, but I knew that every time I counted down from 10, I had to jump before I was at 0. So normally I jumped at 8 or 9 because I knew like, okay, I made a promise to myself. I never broke it. Every time when I started jumping, like, hey, should we do a countdown to 10? I never let myself lose that or break that promise, so to say. So count yourself in. Second one, what if you only had to be brave for 20 seconds? So what if you only had to rise up your courage for 20 seconds? That can be, for example, letting a silence fall in a conversation, or keep eye contact in a conversation, or perhaps confront pigeons if you're afraid for pigeons. Yeah, it exists. I know people who are afraid for pigeons. So thirdly, take a seat at the table, position yourself better, and also cheer for other people's success. So if somebody else is having a big win, by celebrating their win, you're opening up yourself for them, and that bolsters you with activity. So I asked ChatGPT to add some empowering self-transformation tips. It's a bit extensive to do this in this video, but I will drop them below in the further readings. So number 8, the exercises that might help is pretty much what I described all of this now, but perhaps in addition also a not to-do list. So don't do these things, or don't think these thoughts, or if I think these thoughts, I will change them with that thought. So I would say start with creating the I am list or I am not list, and record everything that you keep popping up in your mind. And then you can structure your mind. You can structure these 60,000 thoughts, and then instead of having a fixed route in the jungle of your mind, you are start deviating the pathways in your brain, and once again opening up new locations and possibilities. So by recording your brain, so to say, journaling, I am exercises, then you restructure the neural pathways. And if you have these lists, or if you have these beliefs or your values, just do the check with your heart. Is it a hell yeah, or is it a hell no? Does it rise like, do you get a smile on your face and you feel like, oh, okay, let's bloody go? Or do you think, nah, I don't feel it, or I'm not that sure? Then just skip it. Or if it makes you very uncomfortable, but you feel that you should really do it, do it. That's outside your comfort zone. Okay, take a breather here. It's a lot. I want to finalize with the self tips. The things that like 7 tips that you should never do is talk out loud negative about yourself, doubting yourself. Like you've got doubt is like the killer for the heart, so to say. So if you have doubt, write it down, confront your thoughts, and ask yourself, why do you doubt yourself? If you feel you're still not capable, then improve your skills. You might not be ready now, but you can be ready, so to say. So start reframing your belief. And if you are never ready, then just do it. Some things are just worth doing shitty, and then you get better at them as long as you do them. Also, avoid pleasing others too much. So stay authentic to yourself. Just use the balance, like, is it as a service or is it a duty? As long as it is in service, I would say you're in the green. But if it starts feeling too much like a duty, then you're entering the red zone. And once again, a little bit of red is beautiful, a little bit of green is beautiful. Find your balance. Of course, some does, like, don't hold on to the negative relationships, fear of failure. That's not for this video. But finally, don't procrastinate. So it's all about action in the now. So my question to you, and which is also an exercise in our portfolio, is take a look at these 7 things you should not do. Do you recognize any of them? So do you think like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that? And how would you get it? How would you get them out of your system? Add it in your journal and let us know. So a recap in the form of a 30-day plan. I would say the first 3 days, self-reflection, and awareness. So definitely, everybody, if you're still on board over here, awareness, awareness, awareness. It's one of the core foundations. Start with that. Then your limiting beliefs, whether negative or some perhaps overly optimistic, will pop up. They form your storyline, and then you can replace them with the negative, with more empowering ones, and the overly optimistic perhaps with a more realistic ones. Try to figure out try to match it with your surroundings. So shape the story in a way, or let me rephrase that. Find the people in your surrounding that match the storyline. So if you want to become more honest, surround yourself with honest people. You've heard me mention it before. Then gather evidence. Check with people. Hey, I want to be more honest. Do you have the feeling after 2 weeks or so that you see my behavior change? Do you see my narrative change? I think, or I feel I am being more honest. Do you see any notifications? Definitely keep yourself surrounding with positive influences. And then gradually, with a lot of practice and patience, you will reshape your narrative. And this is the 1% better a day approach, the compounding theory, so to say, the seventh world wonder, according to Einstein. If you improve yourself only 1% per day, just imagine how much better you will be in a month, in a year, or in 10 years from now. It does, however, require action and courage. And you hear me close this more often this way. Awareness. Yeah. So focus, eye on the ball. This is your route. This is your life. This is the moment to do, not tomorrow, not next week. So it's time to reshape your story. So that's a recap. The final conclusion, to do this: identify character traits, prioritize one trait at a time, supportive influences, of course, track progress, be patient, persistent, and dedicated. Take control of your narrative by changing these beliefs, and self-reflection, mindfulness, and compassion are the keys. So don't do this. Overwhelm, do not do that. Impatience, that's like for me personally, the no-go to. And don't cling to your self-limiting beliefs without questioning their originality. So once again, the color black can be beautiful, but where do they come from? Are they authentic to you, or did somebody else impose your limiting belief there? So never forget this. You can change your narrative, you can change your story, and with that, you change your life and your destiny. So you have the power, and you alone have the keys to basically form your own legend. So how's that for a closure? Bye-bye.